Changes in both the personnel as far as both the Spiders and the Wonders are concerned. But one thing remains, it's Kannapolis against Concord. We'll have the coaches' comments, plus we'll have player interviews right after you watch this. Stay with us here on Headliners. We'll be right back. Bob Boswell of the A.O. Brown Wonders of Kannapolis, and it's hard to believe the third week of the season, gentlemen, that we're getting ready to tee it up for the Battle of the Bell, the Battle of Cabarrus County, the battle of a lot of different things, and we've had an intense heat situation this week, something the schools have been getting out early. Has it affected your practices? We talked about it earlier, a couple of headliners ago, about it was a nice August, but this first couple of weeks of September has been, maybe we're a month behind. How has it affected the practices this week, Coach?
First of all, you said something about it not seeming like it's late in the season. When you're 0-2, it seems like it's real late when you get started like that. But the heat has affected all of us. Our schools have been dismissed at 1 o'clock each day. And we have the good fortune of having lights on our practice field. So what we've done, we've gone to night practices. We're practicing at 7 p.m. at night, trying to stay away from the heat of the day, and taking 30 minutes and having a 10-minute break, and 30 minutes and having a 10-minute break like that, so that we can get plenty of fluids in our players. We don't want to take a chance of them overheating just for a football game.
Coach Boswell, I understand Memorial Stadium, you have domed that and air conditioning.
Well, we didn't make quite enough last year, Randy, to do that. No, we are a little bit different, I guess, and it's probably out of old habits. I don't practice much at night. I normally don't practice over one time or twice once the season starts at night, unless it gets late in the year and we turn them on. I kind of like the afternoon practices. The other thing, if you practice right after school, you don't have the problem of them getting in a car, going somewhere, then getting in a car and coming back if something were to happen. So we normally practice right after school. And some of the days that we got out early, we'd look at film first, let the JVs practice, varsity practice later. But normally in the heat of the day, you know, because when you play at 8 o'clock, it's still kind of hot and early in the season, it's daylight. So we've kind of gotten used to doing that. I think the biggest thing is kind of keep your routine. E.Z normally practices at night anyway, I believe, early, so we don't. So it works out.
Let's make some comparisons. Since last year, I think whoever wins the bell this year, the other guy, if it goes back across the field, you're going to get cheated out of a couple of months because you're supposed to keep it a year, right? By playing this game earlier in the season, you don't really get to keep the bell the whole year.
It doesn't matter. We'll take it right now. Won't even have to play it.
E.Z, you're in the South Piedmont Conference. Everybody's tabbed you guys as favorites. Wonders are contenders, as always, going up to 4A. 4A versus 3A. Maybe you're in a more experienced ball team, a bigger team, versus a good defensive team, and maybe untested in the 4A powers. Has it changed anything, plus playing earlier in the year, about this rivalry? Or is it always going to be Kannapolis Concord if you play in April?
I think Bob must have prepped y'all for this. Their seniors have only lost 2 games in 4 years. They're not an inexperienced football team. They have an excellent team. As long as Bob's going to be at Kannapolis, they're going to have a good football program. Sometimes you don't hear coaches give superlatives. It seems like we try to throw them out at each other a lot, but they have a continuous program that year in, year out is going to be an excellent football program, and they're going to be the #1 team to beat in their conference. I don't care what conference they're in, they're that good year in, year out. The problem that we're going to have is that early in the season, we feel like they're better prepared. They have, I imagine, probably 50 or 55 players total, and they have a few more coaches than we do. We have 35 players, and so therefore, we don't have the time and the coaching staff and the numbers to get more people prepared and to get more out of kids early in the season. Late in the season, I think you kind of catch up with everybody. That's been a good thing for us that we've had them late in the season. I think Bob will tell you, you know, after so many weeks, you only can teach so much technique, and then you start getting into who's in the best condition and those kind of things. So I think, you know, as far as an advantage, they have the advantage there. We do have a lot of players coming back, but evidently it hadn't made a difference to Lexington and Salisbury. You know, they really came out and they took it to us, and we're, of course, disappointed with the way we've played. But, you know, each week's a new test. We said at the start of the season we might go 0-4 because we think 4 of the toughest teams we'll play are right there those first 4 games. But even if we do go 0-4, we still got a chance to go to the state playoffs if we win the next 6. So we're not sidelining this game, but it is a tough football game. It's a tough emotional game, and the next week we have a big Charlotte Catholic game. They have an open date, so they're going to have some time to rest. We're not.
Bob, you've been through playing Concord when you were in 4A previously. How do you adjust for this thing?
I don't think it really changes the game. I think E.Z. will tell you that. It's Kannapolis, Concord. If it were the other way, he was 4A and I was 3A, it wouldn't make any difference. I don't think E.Z. and I are really hung up on A's like a lot of people are. It's teams playing team. On a given night, a good 3A teams are going to beat 4A teams day in, day out. Excellent 4A teams are going to beat whoever they play. It's just what kind of teams you have. As far as, hours, I don't think it's going to change a thing. It's going to change in the fact that it is playing earlier. It takes a little bit of the spirit out of the game. I'm the first one to admit that, and I know that everybody thinks I changed the date. It's our conference went one way and E.Z.'s new conference went the other. I wish I had that much pull. But I agree that it does change things. It changes things for us because we were in a peculiar situation before. We played South Row End the week before we played E.Z. And if you'll go back traditionally through that, you're going to see we had our hands full with South. If we lost that ball game, we always had a hard time the next week trying to get up. And I think that's what concerns E.Z. too, is that by playing it at the end, even if you haven't done well, you can put it all in there. Up front, it's hard to put everything in this game. I don't care where you play it, because the season's not over when this game is over. He's got to run and get ready for Catholic. I have an open date, but we can't, fold the tent and put everything up, say, that's over. You can't do it. I think the one thing that's going to be a lot different for us has been our approach to it. Of course, my approach to games, it may be different from a lot of people anyway. A lot of people say, well, they talk about emotion. We're both very emotional people. But I'm different in preparation for a game than E.Z., and I think we're radically different. I don't think we're any different in our desire to win, in all of that. But I've just, over the years, I've developed my own kind of philosophy about getting ready for a game. And I think that's going to be different for us.
I think that with the two teams combined, with the Statesvilles, the Lexingtons, the Salisburys, playing teams like that's got to help. Don't you agree, buddy?
Gosh, join us. I can't believe that you're an emotional guy. E.Z., I can believe that. But how superstitious are you Friday the 13th?
I didn't even realize it was the 13th till you mentioned it. No.
Not very. I guess I'm somewhat superstitious, but
not about that.
Not about the 13th. I know other things we were worried about. That's right. Just having to have to put on the same sort, all those kind of things. But I don't think, superstitions. I used to wonder if superstitions didn't go into it. And then I found out the more I got into coaching, the more preparation takes part. And, then you find out if you're better prepared, you work harder, and your kids are basically ready. They're going to win. If they don't, you're not going to win. I don't care if you carry rabbit's foots and everything else with you.
He hit the key, I think. It's the thing I'll always put in my mind and think about. When preparation meets opportunity, that equals success. So, you can do all the screaming and yelling and jumping up and down you want to, but if you're not prepared, you're not going to win. Sure. If you're prepared, you got a chance every time you take it out of the chute.
One of the things you've got going this year, I know you don't like polls and everything. They're not shooting at you like they were last year. Has that helped your program a little bit this year?
Well, I think there's been a little more pressure on. I think there's more pressure on E.Z. I mean, he had his people coming back that everybody knew about, and consequently everybody put the finger on them. And I think that I don't let anybody tell you that doesn't make a difference, because it does when everybody's pointing at you. Every week when you go out there and everybody's saddled up, it's tough. And we've been through that. We went through that all last year, and this year, everybody's saying, well, they're going to 4A, that, they lost all the guys off last year's team, and it takes the pressure off. Sure, so our guys are trying to prove themselves.
In the first couple of weeks, we've asked the coaches to kind of run down the team. How are we running down your offense and defense for us, and give us a little spot check of who's where and what can we expect out of them?
Can we take that? You go first. Well, offensively, of course, we have John Rape at quarterback, and John was injured some last year and didn't play a whole lot, not as much as we had planned for him to play, but, John's an excellent performer and probably has more talent we've had there for quite a while. Where we're thin are at the running backs. We lost Willie Graham and Tony Smith and James Lott, Tracy Johnson, Chuck Elliott. We lost all of those right out of that backfield. So the only one we really had coming back that had carried the ball was Ray Moore. Ray Moore's been hurt for a couple of weeks. He came back in against Statesville and ran well. We anticipate him being well now. Terrell Clemens is in the backfield, and he, of course, played on defense last year. He's an experienced player. We have William Barlow, who played on the JVs last year at fullback. Our other two fullbacks have been hurt for 2 weeks, but they're well. Terry Banks has not played at fullback, and Jesse Curley hadn't played, but they'll be back. Up front, we lost our center, we lost our right tackle, we lost our tight end, we lost our left tackle and our left guard. So we had one guy coming back up front, that was Bob Boswell. But the center played some last year, Spears, when Carter was hurt. The left guard was Scott Rogers, who played some when Charles Knox didn't start earlier and then got hurt later in the year. The new people is Pat Moore is at one tackle, but Pat Moore started on defense last year, so he's not an inexperienced player. The left tackle is Kevin Love, who's a young man up in the JVs last year, who's had some experience there. Tight end is a new situation for us. We've moved Dean Mullinax over there, who's not played tight end before, so that's a little new for us. So we're not bad. Our receivers were guys who played some last year in a lot of ball games. Defensively, again, we had both ends back and one tackle back. We lost our nose guard, one tackle, both linebackers, and we lost James Lott out of the secondary, but the other guys played a lot for James last year. Gino's back there. Brian Kennerly's back there. Terrell Clemens is back there. Ray Moore is back at strong. Dwayne Davis is back there, who played a lot last year. Willie Barringer was on the team, played a lot at nose guard last year. Troy Tony's up in the JVs, and the man has been playing a whole lot for us. Paul Rates is stepping into the tackle, and he's a big kid. So, they played. Terry Banks played some at linebacker last year. And Dolan Clowney played a little bit, not a whole lot. So, those guys have had some experience. It's not like they completely have.
We had a good group of young men coming back. We had moved 4 sophomores up last year off our junior varsity, and they all started for us. But starting with the offensive line, Matt Osborne's our center. He's back from last year. Our right offensive guard is Mike Horton. We moved Mike up. Mike's sophomore. He was on the junior varsity and started last year for us there. Brett Hammett had started that position, but we wanted to play him on defense specifically this year. Ernest Bostic's our other offensive guard, was a starter from last year. Stan Bost is our right offensive tackle, and he started last year. Our left offensive tackle is Jeff Smith. He's another player up from the junior varsity, and we feel like Mike and Jeff are going to be 2 good football players. They don't have varsity experience, but they're gaining it each and every week. We run out of the 2 tight end set. One tight end is Tim Horton, who played in the secondary last year for us, but we moved him to one of our tight ends. He's 6'3", 190, and our other one's Chip Harwood, who we feel like is definitely a prospect. He and Stan. Chip's had a real good first game, and last week punted the ball for us, averaged 41.8 yards a punt. And that's where Kannapolis can beat you as bad as anybody can beat you is with a kicking game. So we've been real happy with Chip in that aspect. We moved Andre White from running back to quarterback because of his running ability, and he passes the ball well. We've had some mishandling of handoffs and options and some problems there, but we feel like he's a fine athlete, and that was my decision totally to do that. We felt like if we were going to run that offense, we had to have somebody that could run it. Andre is starting at quarterback. LeBron Wallace and James Bost are the 2 halfbacks. Both of them started on the junior varsity. All 3 of the players in our backfield are juniors. The one that's missing that was our key in the very first ball game was Ronald Patterson. Everybody calls him Fats. Fats had 6 carries for 51 yards the first drive we had the ball against Lexington. He had a muscle spasm in his leg and has not been able to get it out. We don't know what the problem is, so he looks very doubtful for Friday. Our flanker is John Kruse and Lynn Williams. They alternate coming in and out every other play. So John's a senior and Lynn's up from the junior varsity. On the defensive side of the ball, Stan Bost will start at nose guard. 2 juniors will start at our tackles that started last year, Brian Peak and Damon Bostic. And our 2 defensive ends were Mike Mason, who started at a linebacker last year for us. We shifted him into a defensive end. And this week we'll start Chip Harwood at the other defensive end. Our 2 inside linebackers are Angelo Robinson and Britt Hammett. Our free safety is David Williams. One of our corners is Lynn Williams. Our strong safety is Chip Jones, who is really our defensive captain on the field. And our other cornerback is Jamie Cox, who's up from the junior varsity last year. So we have a lot of players that have had some experience and have done a good job for us. But then too, we have some inexperienced players, and we're trying to. Andre's been a great running back, but he hadn't been in very many games as a quarterback, and that's one of the keys for us right now.
Well, buddy, other than what E.Z and Bob said, other than nothing's really changed, has it?
It's the same old thing.
Two of the participants in this year's Concord Kannapolis ball game, as we take an up-close personal look at some of the players on both sides. You'll see and meet both of those players with Buddy King when we come back. Stay with us.
173-pound senior quarterback, and this is his first year starting, but he's been with Coach Boswell for 3 years and knows what the coach wants his quarterbacks to do. Stan Boston, on the other hand, is a 5'11", 225-pound senior. He plays the nose guard and offensive tackle. He's a veteran of the trench wars, and Coach Smith is looking for him to anchor the offensive and defensive lines. Let's go out to Concord and Kannapolis and talk to these fine players.
It's kind of hard to improve on the 13-1 season, but we can do it. We can go 15-0 this year, and I think we have a good chance of doing it. I like to coach the staff here at Brown. I think we're very lucky to have the staff that we do. All of the coaches are willing to work with you, and I know they've helped me out a lot in the past and made me a better player from their help. Being a senior is a big responsibility, and it's your most important year. It comes down to it, your senior year's the best year that you want to have, and I just really like to go out with a big season. Senior leadership is a big responsibility. I know in the past years I've played here at Brown, I've always looked up to the seniors and turned to them for their leadership. And I know this year that there will be people looking up to us, and it's a big responsibility. After this year, I'm planning on going to college. I would like to go to college to play football. I'm in a couple clubs. I'm in Interact and the Monogram Club, and I play baseball and basketball also. I've played football since I was in the 4th grade, and it's just become a habit to me. I guess my dad played when he was in high school, and in a way, I guess I just like to follow in his footsteps.
I'm sure they're...
I always have butterflies before the game, but after you get out and take the first snap, they all go away. There's only a couple teams that we're playing this year that we've been used to playing in the past few years. We're going into a different conference, and I really don't know what to expect.
Coaches are really emphasizing you gotta have discipline, have a winning season, so everybody's working on discipline, controlling themselves, But it really came down to the decision. I probably like to go on defense. But really, it doesn't really matter. I just like hitting people, really. What I want to accomplish this year is to do better than I did last year and to reach my goals and go out and have a winning season and try to get farther than we did last year. I'm in the position I was in. I was a freshman. I looked up to the seniors, and now it's my chance. I'm gonna give it all I got, and just let the guys look up to me and make a good example. This year's coaching staff, they're coming out very seriously, and they're really up for it. And I feel that we have a pretty good coaching staff, and they're really on this and wanting to have a winning season. I've been playing football all my life, and never since, I was little, I was going to play pro ball. I really do my relaxing in the weight room. I love to lift weights, and weightlifting takes my mind off everything. I just like to pop iron. Yeah, I really get in the crowd. The crowd really picks me up, and I feel when they're hollering, it makes me play more harder. And the crowd's behind us, we do a lot better, good. knowing the Concord's behind us and all, you know, we feel really great about that. I'm not really worried about Kannapolis. Kannapolis has a good football program, and they're losing a lot of people. They're gonna have a rebuilding season, and I'm really look forward to playing them. You know, getting revenge back on them, and I feel that our team is really ready for it. You know, and just go out and do the best I can, I guess.
John and Stan sound like they're ready. Big ball game, Concord, Kannapolis. We'll be back with closing comments from the coaches right after this.
Of the Concord Spiders. 55th time these two teams, two towns, two communities have met, and gentlemen, things a little bit different every year. What type of ball game, E.Z? Is it true that defenses are ahead of the offenses this early in the season? You look for a defensive game?
Well, that's what we have to pride ourselves in. Our defense has kept us in both ball games, that we've been in. In fact, with 1 minute to go in the Salisbury game, and they had possession driving out, we caused a fumble and got the ball back and had an opportunity to win the football game. But due to a turnover, we didn't win it. I think when you think of Kannapolis and Concord, you're going to think of defensive football teams, from the word go. They've been known for that. I think Bob's defense is as good as it's ever been. He has the people in the right position to make things happen, and then they force you to do things you don't want to do, and then that's where they beat you. That and their kicking game. Their kicking game is head and shoulders above everybody's that will play. I don't care who we play, they'll be head and shoulders above. And what we have to do is hope that our punter can punt the ball far enough that their return man will fair catch the ball and give us an opportunity to get them in the hole. We have not had any punts returned yet. Chip's averaging over 41 yards a punt and no punt return yardage. So we're getting good coverage and good hang time, and we're just hoping the pressure doesn't get on us to where we have some problems there.
Bob, would you rather face an E.Z. Smith Spider team that's 0-2 or 2-0?
I'd rather for them to be 2-0. I don't think anybody would tell that, because they're a better football team, and E.Z. knows that. They've had some bad breaks. They've had, like you said, I think the biggest problem is that the only way to get experience is experience. Until you line up back there and you make those handoffs and do that thousands of times, and it's going to get better and better and better, and I think he knows that. And I know he's hoping it's going to be, this is the week that it all comes together, and it very well might be. And it's always an exciting ball game because they're going to play hard and we're going to play hard. And it doesn't matter. Records have never mattered in this ball game. It's not going to matter now. We realize that. I hope our young men know that. I know they're going to play hard. I know his guys are going to play hard. They're going to be well prepared. Nobody plays us probably that studies our defense any harder than they do so he can move the ball. I know that. I know he's going to do everything that he can to control the football and keep the ball and that sort of thing, and they do an excellent job of it. So, we've got to prepare ourselves to play just like we do any other football game and be ready. And I think that's the key to it, is being prepared.
Change the subject just a little bit. What's your greatest challenge this year with this team? It's early in the season. Bob?
Well, I think the greatest thing is to make our guys believe that they can be a real good football team, and that we don't have a star. We don't have individuals that are good players, but together we could have good chemistry that make us a great ball club.
E.Z?
I feel like the opportunity is there for us to go on and to play these next two ball games well and then get ready for our conference. That's our key right now.
I guess, gentlemen, the most important thing is the fact this has been fun. The game is fun, and it's going to be fun this week. It's been fun having you gentlemen here. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for being with us. I'm Randy Whitley saying join us next week for Headliners here on TV 13.